Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to Carrie Road. Norwich City take on Leicester here today, and we're about a minute away from the teams being announced. Obviously, Brendan Rodgers going through his pre-match media duties just down below us. Paddy is just sat about probably 10 metres or so to my right. Hopefully, the connection holds up, which it seems to be doing so far, which is good. There is Carrie Road in all its glory, and as soon as that team news drops, we shall bring it to you. Pad, let's throw it over to you. I may well interject, but what are you kind of expecting from Norwich City this afternoon in terms of lineup? Hopefully, Paddy can hear us. Maybe not. If not, then I'll fill. In that case, we should be about a minute away or so from team news. I guess there's probably a few talking points. What Daniel Farker will do with Christos Zolis. There's also the Brandon Williams, and here is the team news that I can bring for you. Two changes to last Saturday. Williams and Kenny McLean starts. Christos Zolis not in the 18, ruled out with that calf injury. So this is how Norwich City line up. Tim Krul in goal, Max Aarons, Grant Hanley, Ben Gibson and Brandon Williams the back four. Billy Gilmore, Pierre Leesmalu and Kenny McLean the midfield three, with Rashica on the right, Tom Cantwell on the left and Timo Luki up front. Norwich City subs bench, Angus Gunn, Andrew Omabamidele, Christopher Zimmerman, Dimitris Giannoulis, Jakob Sorensen, Lucas Rupp, Kieran Dow, Josh Sargent and Adam Eder. We just dropped Pad out there. Hopefully we can get some connection from him in a moment. So that's the Norwich City lineup. Just to run through that again: Krul, Aarons, Hanley, Gibson, Williams, Gilmore, Leesmalu, McLean, Rashica, Cantwell, Pookie, and a bench of Gunn, Omabamidele, Zimmerman, Giannoulis, Sorensen, Rupp, Dowell, Sargent, and Eder. Christos Zolis not in the matchday squad today because of that calf injury that Daniel Farker was warning about. Josh Sargent does make it, even though he was a slight doubt. Leicester City are lining up like this. They've got Kasper Schmeichel in goal. Their graphic has just moved. Here we go. They've got Schmeichel in goal. It is Ricardo Pereira, Daniel Amati, Kaglor Sanucci is there as well. I'm hoping there we go. And Luke Thomas, their back four. Ndidi and Tielemans in the midfield two. Or Brighton, Maddison and Barnes behind Jamie Vardy. So that is the Leicester lineup. Schmeichel in goal, Pereira, Amati, Sonucci, Thomas, Ndidi, Tielemans, all Brighton, Maddison, Barnes and Vardy. So there we go. Pat, hopefully we've got you with us, which I think we do now. Two changes for Norwich City. You made your way closer to the pitch, so a different view. What do you make of those two changes for Norwich, Brandon Williams and Kenny McLean in? Probably not entirely surprising.
No, not a huge surprise. Particularly, both, to be honest, were very good midweek. And funny enough, when we did this broadcast prior to the midweek game, we said, can players put down markers? And in those two cases, they have done. I thought McLean was excellent that night, particularly driving from midfield. And let's be honest, we know all about the opposition have played in these first two Premier League games, but that midfield three haven't been good enough with or without the ball. And what you hope with him is, A, is experience, but B, that athleticism which Daniel highlighted the last time they were in this league, that he brings a bit of that to bear because they need a bit more bite, I think, rather than a Gilmore, Leesmalu and Rupp triumvirate for me. So, and the left back, Dimi Giannoulis, sadly, if you're not up to the mark, maybe it underlines the depth in this squad now that you're not going to get infinite chances, certainly in the Premier League. He wasn't up to the mark. He got hooked at half-time against Man City. Williams comes in and does enough to retain his place. So, I saw some quotes attributed to Dimi on the official website in the last day or two, and he said, how much a learning curve it is for both the team and himself, and hopefully he goes away and sort of reflects on what he needs to get better at, at this level, and comes back again. But ultimately, you're Daniel Farker. You want these type of decisions. You want, on a Friday afternoon, not to know your 11 off the top of your head. You probably want to have a few selection dilemmas when you put your head on the pillow the night before the game. And if you get that, then that probably means you've got a very competitive squad. So, I'm not in the least bit surprised that those two are in the 11 today.
I guess the big talking point, really, no Christoph Solis, who does miss out because of those calf issues that he suffered probably after the game on Tuesday, where he was exceptionally good. I would imagine a lot of people were coming to Carrie Road today, maybe prior to the press conference yesterday, hoping to get a look at Christoph Solis and also Josh Sargent as well, who does make the bench despite being a slight doubt, which is obviously the positive aspect of those two. But is it a tad unfortunate for him, given how well he played on Tuesday, that obviously this injury has come at a time when he probably could have expected to, if not start, then certainly have got some minutes here this afternoon?
Sorry, it's a massive letdown ultimately, because you're right, the vast majority of these Norwich fans today would be probably realistically expecting Rashica to start, because I think Daniel was very quick in the immediate aftermath of the midweek game to just downplay a little bit the level of opposition and, you know, reaffirm that this is a 19-year-old not played at this level before, give him a little bit of time. Yes, it was an excellent debut, 2 goals, 2 assists. Could he have done much more? Don't think he could. So, but I still think, depending on how the game had started here today, there would have been a clamour and a growing clamour for Jolis to come on and affect the play in a positive manner, because he clearly offered something we hadn't seen in those first 2 games in the final third, with the inevitable caveat, keep having to say it, about the level of opposition. So that is a blow, and you just hope that's maybe just a reaction to all the, you know, the adrenaline and the excitement of that first debut. He'd have been desperate to do well, and he did, of course. Might place a question mark about whether he goes away and joins up with Greece now for the upcoming qualifiers. I'm sure Norwich wouldn't want to take any risks with him, because, okay, probably wouldn't have seen him starting today, but I certainly think the way he was tracking the other side of the international break, maybe subject to how today's result goes and how the players playing at the top end of the pitch perform, but he'd have to come increasingly into the conversation for a start in the 11, because, as we talked earlier with Williams and McLean, you can only do what you can do when you get a shirt on your back, and he couldn't have done a lot more. So today, it's a blow in terms of changing the game. I know that Sargent is there. There's 1 or 2 other attacking options, but I just think the excitement he would have. You can imagine 60 minutes on the clock. Say the game's level, he strips, enters the fray. What a buzz that would have given the crowd and probably his teammates as well. So they denied that today. It is what it is, and I just hope it's precautionary rather than anything we need to be worried about beyond the international break.
Yeah, we'll get an update for you from Daniel Farker after the game, I'm sure. I'm just going to look to the Leicester bench very quickly, because as is their injury problems, they've got no Yannick Vestergaard today. Fofana as well is also out. Johnny Evans out as well. They've been forced to name 2 goalkeepers on the bench, in Danny Ward and Eldin Shakopovic. They've also got Kelchi Camacho, Hamza Chowdhury, Kieran Dewsbury, Dennis Platt, Timothy Castagna, Patson Daka, the new signing as well, and Bukhari Samara. So there's Leicester's bench, 2 goalkeepers. But you look down that Leicester starting 11 pad, you see Jamie Vardy, James Maddison, Wilfried Ndidi, Yuri Tielemans, Harvey Barnes, Kagler Salucci. Is an immensely talented group of players, and it just shows the quality of the Premier League, doesn't it?
Yeah, and okay, they're coming off a heavy defeat, but as Daniel rightly said, there was reasons for that. They were down to 10 men very early on, and West Ham have clearly got their tails up now under Moyes. But it's the reigning FA Cup holders, and it's also the reigning Community Shield winners, defeating some high-class sides to win those trophies. And those players you list, particularly the attacking players, Tielemans, what a player he is. Much is being made of Norwich's ongoing quest to get in a CDM, and he can do that job, but he's so much more as well. He's an excellent player, and he gets them ticking in the middle of the park. And, of course, the creativity. We don't need to talk about Maddison. We've seen him here. Some warm embraces with Max Aarons and Todd Cantwell. He knows Billy Gilmore as well. And Kieran Dowell. And I recall when Kieran first signed, I remember doing a piece with him, and he said he'd actually, put a call into Madders from their England under-21 days. They're obviously good mates, and Madders had nothing but good things to say about this place, and this is a club he should come to if he had the opportunity. So he's been back before, so it's not quite and we've obviously, I remember the first game was away at Leicester, and he got a fantastic ovation from the travelling support that day. And I'm sure he will. Looking over my shoulder here, the snake pit, if he has to wander over it and take a corner, I'm sure they'll show their appreciation, because he was good for himself, but he was also very good for Norwich, both on and off the pitch financially, at a critical time in Norwich's recent history, financially, certainly. So, but you do hope today he doesn't have one of his better days, because if he starts to pull the strings, we know the quality he's got. And obviously Vardy, the evergreen Vardy, he's still a player who needs to be carefully watched if you're Norwich's central defenders. So yeah, I'm a bit fearful that after getting whacked as they did against West Ham, you can imagine that'll sharpen the mind. If there'd have been any complacency looking at Norwich against Man City and before that Liverpool, that's probably gone now. So Norwich will have to be, for me, today is about can they be competitive for much longer than maybe the first half here against Liverpool with the crowd behind them, and it was such an emotional occasion, and then they ran out a bit of steam. And then I thought maybe 15, 20 minutes after half-time against Man City, but the horse had already bolted on that one. But at least they were showing less of the wide-eyed, I can't believe I'm sharing a pitch with these type of players, and it was a bit more of a competitive affair. And then, of course, Man City pressed the accelerator again. So for me today, yes, you want the result, but I'd also like to see for a bit longer a more competitive element, because that, to me, tells me that this group of players are getting to grips with it, and they need to, because, what you don't want is to, get to October time and they're off the pace in terms of where they are in the league. They need to start picking up some points, and there's no real reason, despite we know Leicester have got quality, particularly in attacking areas. There isn't no reason for me today with Norwich, with the right approach, showing what they've learned in those first 2 league games, with the collective confidence from what they did in midweek. They can't get a result here for me today. I'm reasonably confident, actually.
Well, I was going to tee you up nicely there and ask you how you saw this one going. So, reasonably confident. What does that look like in terms of a scoreline, in terms of a score prediction?
I'm going to sit on the fence, though, Connor. Having said that, I'm going to go draw, mate. I could see maybe a score draw. I just think maybe this is a good time to catch Leicester. They're not quite into their stride yet. And Norwich, going into the international break, the value of getting a point or 2 or 3 on the board, obviously, you couldn't underestimate it. And I think it just give everybody inside the camp and maybe outside just renewed belief that this season can be a little bit different. But to do that, they're going to have to play far better for far longer than they have done in the first 2 league games, no doubt about it. But yeah, I think they could get a point here today. I'm going to throw that back to you now, mate. What's your prediction?
Well, I was speaking to Dave actually when I arrived. I've had a funny confidence this morning, which is a little bit strange. So I may edge for a slight Norwich win, but how much of that is just confidence ahead to kick off. I'm not sure, but I could quite feasibly see it a draw. And as things stand, that would be enough to take them off the bottom of the Premier League table, wouldn't it? With Arsenal getting absolutely thrashed by Manchester City. So we shall see. Pad, thank you very much for joining me. Of course, Pinkin.com, the place to go. We've got our live blog running if you'd like to follow the match live. We've also got updates and analysis and reaction as well to this one against Leicester City this afternoon. Carrie Road is going to be full. It's filling up nicely already with about 50 minutes or so to kick off. Thank you very much for watching, and we'll see you soon.